It was my son, Robert, my only child. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "Just die, Mum. I don't give a sh-t." This, after I'd liquidated my entire life to pay off his debt. So I did the only thing a sane person could do. I took back every single cent, with interest. He called me ungrateful. The bank? Well, the bank said otherwise. "Mum, please help me. If you don't help me, I swear I'll die." That's how it began. My phone ringing at 12:08 a.m., pulling me from a shallow sleep into a storm I never saw coming. Robert's voice on the other end wasn't the voice of the grown man he'd become. It was the voice of a frightened child, trembling, gasping, drenched in pure panic. He was in deep. Crypto. Of course it was crypto. The whole market tanked. He'd taken a second mortgage on his house in a fancy Austin suburb. He was about to default. His wife, Sophia, didn't know the full amount. "If she finds out, she might leave me, Mom. I'm ruined. $80,000. He whispered it like a confession. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at my kitchen table in my little San Antonio house with my old coffee mug and a debt I didn't create. By dawn, I'd made my decision. I drove to the bank, told the loan officer I needed everything. My house, my pension, my savings. I needed it liquid, and I needed it now. She blinked. "Ma'am, you understand this puts you at significant risk? Your retirement, your home." I just said, "I understand. He's my son." I sold my house, moved into a small rental apartment, pulled every cent. When I had that cashier's check for $80,000 in my hand, I stared at it like it was both a noose and a lifeline. I met Robert at the bank. He looked like hell. He hugged me like a man drowning. "I owe you my life," he said. "I owe you forever." His debt was gone. His house was safe. "You'll stay with us, right?" he said. "It's only fair. Don't worry, Mum. I'll take care of you now." And y'all, I believed him. I truly did. Because when your child begs for help with tears in his voice, you don't tally receipts. You open your arms, even if, later, those arms are the ones pushed away. 6 months. That's how long it took for love to rot into silence, for silence to harden into resentment. It started small. My tea kettle went missing from their kitchen. My soap in the bathroom was replaced with Sophia's. I overheard her on the phone one night. "It's like living with a shadow. She's just always there." I always said nothing, until that one night at dinner. I'd made lasagna from scratch, Robert's favorite. We sat down, and Sophia, without even looking at me, said, "This house feels a little cramped lately. Maybe it's time we talk about some long-term arrangements." I froze. My fork paused mid-air. I looked at Robert, my boy, my only child, and I waited for one word, one shake of the head, but he said nothing. He just kept scrolling on his damn phone. A week later, I came home from the H-E-B grocery store to find the front door locked. My key didn't work. I rang the bell. Nothing. Texted. No response. Finally, Robert pulls up. "Mom," he said, "what are you doing here?" "I live here," I said. Or I thought I did. Sophia stepped out, crossed her arms. We had to change the locks. It was a safety thing, the kids. Robert stepped between us. "Look, I think it's better this way. You need your own space. It's not working. We're all stressed. You being here, it's too much. Too much. I paid your debt. I sold my house. I gave you everything." His face twisted. "Yeah, well, nobody asked you to. You did that on your own. Now you expect us to babysit you forever? You've lived off me for years, Mom," he snapped. "I'm tired of carrying you. You're like a leech. Why don't you do us all a favor and disappear?" "Go," he said. "Just go. I'm done." He turned and walked inside. Sophia closed the door. Just like that. I was outside, on the street, with 2 grocery bags and nowhere to go. I sat on a bench across the street, and I laughed. A quiet, bitter laugh. The kind you laugh when you realize the joke's been on you for decades. Then I stood up, straightened my coat, called a cab, and whispered to myself, "All right, Evelyn, time to remember who owns what." They thought they had broken me. What they never once bothered to ask was, I hadn't signed away $80,000 without reading the fine print. Before I paid that debt, I'd insisted on one thing, one small, forgotten request. I was not just a silent co-signer. I was the principal on the loan. My money, my name, my signature on the documents. Their house? It was the collateral. I pulled out that folder from my suitcase that evening, spread out the documents like old love letters. There it was. Borrower, Evelyn M. Talbot. Secured property, 1159 Wisteria Lane. Their home, my name. They wanted me gone. They wanted me erased. But the funny thing about paper is that it remembers what people forget. I whispered to the silence. They want me dead? Fine. Let them see what a ghost can do. You know, sitting there alone in that quiet apartment, I realized how many of us are made to feel this way. Invisible. Used. If you understand that feeling, if you've ever been made to feel like a burden by your own family, then you belong here with us. Subscribe to this channel. Don't let another story of strength go unheard, or maybe you're too scared to hear the truth. If that's you, I guess just go down to the comments and tell everyone why you won't support a channel that gives a voice to mothers like us. A year passed, quietly. I volunteered at the church food pantry in my district, took long walks. No one knew my story. Then one morning, my landlord, a sweet widow, showed me the community paper. There was Robert, standing next to Sophia in front of a commercial lot. The headline, Local Couple Launches Dream Cafe in Downtown Strip. They'd listed their home to fund it. 3 days later, my phone rang. Mom, he said, voice shaky, we need to talk. It's urgent. The bank said they couldn't finalize the sale without my signature. My name was on the secured deed. Why would you need me for anything? I asked. I thought I was a leech, a burden. Mom, he finally whispered. I was angry. I didn't mean it. Oh, but you did, I said gently. You meant every word. I'm sorry, he cried. Please, I was wrong. I let the silence hang. Then I asked, soft as rain. What was that? Say it again. Please, Mom, just help us. A pause. Then in the faintest voice, I owe you everything. I smiled. Now, I said, I can finally hear. They showed up at my door unannounced. No call, no warning. Samantha's mascara was smudged. Robert stood behind her, hands jammed in his pockets, eyes on the floor. They sat at my small kitchen table, didn't touch the tea I offered. We messed up, Sophia cried. The cafe, we invested everything. We didn't realize about the paperwork. The buyers are backing out. The bank won't move without you. I stood slowly, walked to my drawer, pulled out the folder, placed it on the table. This is the loan agreement, the mortgage deed, the lien confirmation, and this is the repayment demand, $100,000. Principal plus 12% interest. Standard, nothing personal. Sophia gasped like I'd sucked the air out of the room. You cannot be serious. I am, I said calmly. You want your house free and clear. You pay what you owe. But we don't have that kind of money, she said, her voice rising. Our entire future is tied to that house. I nodded slowly. Then I will sell the house. She blinked. But it's our home. No, I said, my voice even. It was never yours. It was my loan, my security, my name. You gambled with something you never owned, and now the dealer is at the table asking to be paid. Robert finally looked at me, really looked at me, and in that moment I saw the flicker of someone who finally understood the cost of casual cruelty. I gave them 30 days. The law doesn't blink. 30 days came and went. No payment. So I did what any lender would do. I filed the petition. The judge asked, "Are you certain this is what you want, ma'am?" "I am," I said, my hands steady. The order was signed. The process began. 2 weeks later, movers pulled up to their house. The bank's movers. They had 30 minutes to gather what they could. Sophia cried on the front lawn. Robert stood frozen, keys in his hand, but nowhere left to open. I didn't go. Instead, I sat at my desk, printed a single photo, placed it in an envelope. No message, just their names. The photo was of a foundation being poured on a plot of land outside Amarillo. A small sign stuck in the dirt. Future home of E.M. Talbot, Esther 225. My new house. Modest, but mine. Paid for in full with the proceeds from the sale of their home. The photo said enough. This is what a leech can build when left alone long enough to grow her own roots. It was a quiet afternoon when the phone rang again. "Mom," he said, his voice stripped bare. "I understand now. I see what I did. I see what I lost. But it's too late, isn't it?" I paused, listening to the weight of his words. Then I said, gently but firmly, "It's never too late to begin again. But I don't pay twice for the same lesson." He cried. I let him, and I hung up, knowing that for the first time he was finally listening to life, to loss, to the cost of mistaking love for obligation. Maybe he would grow from the ruins, but I was no longer the soil for someone else's roots. I had planted my own. I am no longer the weak mother they whispered about. I am no longer the woman who stood on a porch with grocery bags, hoping someone would open the door she paid for. I am the woman who remembers every word, every silence, every dismissal meant to shrink me. I did not rise for revenge. I rose for clarity. I rose because I needed to know who I was when no one else was looking. And now I do. I am not the villain in their story. I am not the savior. I am simply the lesson, the kind that arrives after the storm, quiet and enduring. I began to love mornings again, the way the sun hit my new windows. I made soup from scratch, just for me. I found a second-hand piano and played old hymns until my heart unclenched. I realized something. No one tells you that when your heart breaks, you are not meant to stay broken. You are allowed to outgrow the roles they wrote for you. I did not get everything back, but I got back enough to smile without flinching, enough to stand without apology. I am Evelyn M. Talbot, and I have seen myself at last. This is the end of my story, but it's just the beginning for this channel. There are thousands of stories like mine waiting to be told. Stories of resilience, of quiet strength, of American families, and the hard lessons we learn. You need to subscribe right now. Don't wait, don't scroll. If you don't, you're telling the world that these voices don't matter. And if you truly believe that, then I need you to explain yourself in the comment section below. Tell me why you won't stand with us. But if you have even an ounce of strength in you, you'll hit that button. Join us, because we're not just telling stories, we're remembering out loud. And sometimes remembering is the strongest kind of justice there